The stars were quiet that night, but silence in the galaxy was never peace. Deep inside the great chamber of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien eyes were fixed on one single question: what should be done with Earth? For many cycles, humans had been watched carefully. Reports spoke of wars, divisions, and endless conflict. To the Council, this was weakness. A race so busy fighting each other could never stand strong against the great empires of the galaxy. Some alien voices laughed when Earth's name was spoken. Others sneered with disgust. At last the decision was made. The supreme speaker of the council, an ancient creature with eyes like burning suns, rose from his throne. His voice echoed across the chamber, heavy with arrogance. Earth, he declared, must surrender. They must give their fleets, their armies, and their will into the hands of the council. Humanity is a danger not because of its strength, but because of its chaos. Left alone, they will burn themselves. But under our rule, they will serve. A roar of approval filled the chamber. From the farthest corners of the galaxy, empires united in this single order. Within moments, the demand was prepared. A message was sent across the stars, faster than light, aimed directly at the blue world orbiting its quiet sun. The words were simple. Earth, surrender or be destroyed. On Earth, the message struck like thunder. Leaders gathered in secret halls. Screens lit up with the faces of presidents, generals, scientists, and commanders. For a long time, no one spoke. The aliens believed humanity would panic, that fear would break them. But the room was silent, not with fear, but with something else: calculation. One of the oldest generals leaned forward, his face calm, his eyes cold. He read the alien words again and again, then finally allowed a small smile to cross his lips. Around the table, others began to do the same. Not one of joy, not one of madness, but a smile sharp as a blade. The council thought humanity was broken. They were wrong. Far above the Earth, alien fleets already gathered. Great ships with glowing hulls and weapons the size of mountains floated in orbit. To the council commanders, this was not war. It was a warning. One strike, and Earth would be ash. Yet as they waited for Earth's surrender, strange reports began to return. Human bases that were believed destroyed were active again. Old shipyards long thought abandoned were busy in silence. Satellites hidden in the shadows of the moon turned their eyes not outward but inward, watching the alien fleets themselves. The council's admirals whispered to each other, unsure. Why was Earth so quiet? Where were the cries for mercy? Why was there no message of fear? Instead, only silence answered them, a silence heavy with promise. Back in the council chamber, the aliens celebrated their victory before it even began. The humans will kneel, they said. They have no choice. To them, Earth was only a small world, isolated and unprepared. But deep in their hearts, a faint unease began to spread. Because in every recorded history of humanity, in every war, in every struggle, there was one pattern. When pushed against the wall, humans never bent. They broke chains, they built weapons, they turned ruins into fortresses, and they did it with something the galaxy had never understood: defiance. The cold smile on Earth's leaders was not a mistake. It was a message. In the secret chambers beneath Earth's surface, engineers worked without rest. They did not build for beauty, they built for survival. Wreckage from old battles, shattered satellites, and even captured alien technology, all of it was pulled together. Piece by piece, something was forming, something the aliens could not imagine. The Council saw Earth as a broken world. Humanity saw itself as a forge. When the Galactic Council demanded surrender, they expected fear. What they received was silence, and silence can be more terrifying than any scream. From the shadows of Earth, from the depths of its oceans, from the far side of the moon, humanity prepared. They did not raise their voices, they did not send threats. They only waited. The Council had sent a message of power. Humanity answered with a smile, and that smile would soon shake the stars. The whisper of fear, the demand had been sent. The Galactic Council expected Earth to answer quickly. Screams, panic, or desperate pleas for mercy. But the silence that followed was like a shadow creeping across the galaxy. No surrender, no fear, no reply at all. At first, the Council laughed. Perhaps their leaders fight each other, they said. Perhaps they do not know how to answer. But days passed, and still Earth remained silent. And in that silence, whispers began to spread. On the edges of alien space, merchant ships carried more than goods. They carried stories. A pilot swore he had seen lights on the far side of Earth's moon. factories burning in secret as if preparing fleets. Another trader spoke of human colonies, once thought poor and weak, now shipping metals and rare ores back toward Earth. The council dismissed these stories as rumors. But in dark corners, admirals and spies exchanged nervous glances. Humanity's silence was not weakness, it was preparation. The first shadow of fear fell when a scout fleet disappeared. 3 alien ships entered Earth's system, cloaked and hidden. They were meant to observe, nothing more. They never returned. The council announced it was a technical failure, but no one believed it. Soldiers whispered of humans capturing them. Officers spoke in hushed tones of interrogation, of stolen technology, of secrets ripped from alien minds. The fear grew quietly, like a fire hidden beneath ash. High above Earth, alien fleets still circled confidently. Yet their captains began to notice strange movements. Old satellites thought to be dead suddenly came alive. Tiny signals bounced between them, forming a hidden network. Strange readings appeared from Earth's oceans. Massive energy spikes, quickly buried under static. It was as if Earth itself had become a fortress, every shadow hiding a secret, every silence hiding a weapon. In the great chamber of the council, arguments broke out. One admiral slammed his claws against the table. "They are playing with us," he growled. "Humans are not begging, they are planning. We must strike now." Others disagreed. "They are weak," a senator hissed. "Their world is small, their fleets are broken. One strike and it is finished. Do not fear children with toys." But even as he spoke, the images on the screens behind him showed something troubling. Human ships, patched together from old wreckage, moving again. Not many, not strong, yet their engines burned with defiance. Meanwhile, within Earth's hidden halls, the cold smile remained. Leaders did not speak of surrender. Instead, they spoke of timing. Engineers worked faster, pulling broken steel and shattered circuits into something new. Soldiers trained in silence, eyes hard, waiting for the order to rise. The humans did not speak of victory. They spoke of survival. And survival had always been humanity's greatest weapon. The council began to send spies, but even they carried back strange tales. One alien agent returned pale, trembling, his eyes wide with something close to terror. "They do not fear us," he whispered. "They laugh. I have seen them. Men and women who know they may die tomorrow, yet they laugh. They speak of turning ruins into warships, of turning defeat into fire. They are different." His words spread like poison. Generals who once mocked Earth now paused in silence. Admirals who once sneered at humans now checked their fleets twice, making sure weapons were armed. In the dark halls of the council, a question began to rise like smoke. What if humanity was not broken? What if they were only waiting? Still, the council clung to its arrogance. They sent more fleets, more soldiers, more demands. But inside their hearts, something dangerous had taken root. Not respect, not yet, but fear. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Humanity's silence was no longer weakness, it was a warning. And across the galaxy, every empire whispered the same thing. The humans are smiling. That smile, unseen yet felt, was colder than any weapon. It spread across space like a storm on the horizon. And for the first time, the mighty council wondered if they had made a terrible mistake. Because whispers had become fear. And fear, once born, cannot be silenced. The hidden power, the galaxy had been whispering for weeks. Whispers of missing fleets. Whispers of strange human movements, whispers of laughter in the face of death. But whispers alone could not frighten the council. They wanted proof, and proof came like fire tearing through the void. It began with a patrol. A small alien armada of 12 ships drifted near the edge of Earth's system. They came to remind humanity of its weakness, to watch for signs of rebellion. Their commanders were confident. Their ships were sleek, shining with advanced weapons, built by centuries of empire. But then, something stirred in the dark. At first, the sensors showed only debris, metal, wreckage, the bones of forgotten battles. The alien commanders laughed. "Humans hide in garbage," they sneered. Yet the laughter died quickly. The wreckage moved. Piece by piece, shapes began to rise from the shadows. Rusted hulls welded together. Fragments of satellites reforged into armor. Alien technology stolen and remade with human hands. From the graveyard of war, a giant emerged, a ship, massive, scarred, and burning with strange energy. It was not smooth, it was not beautiful. It was brutal. A monster of steel and defiance, the first human warship. The alien patrol panicked. "It cannot move," one captain shouted. "It is scrap."
"It cannot fight."
But then the warship's eyes opened. Bright fire burned from its core, weapons glowing like suns. The void trembled, and in a single strike it proved what humanity had built in silence. One blast. One impossible weapon, and half the alien fleet turned to ash. Panic spread through the survivors. They fired everything they had: plasma, missiles, beams of light. The human warship did not fall. Its armor screamed under impact. Sparks tore across its hull, but it moved forward with steady, unstoppable power. Every shot it returned was death. When the battle ended, only wreckage remained. The survivors fled into the dark, carrying terror with them. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. "The humans have built a warship," traders whispered. From scrap and ruin, they made a monster. Admirals shook their heads in disbelief. Engineers demanded reports again and again. How had a young race trapped on one small world built something that rivaled ancient fleets? The council silenced the news, but it was too late. Fear was already alive. Inside the council chamber, chaos erupted. "This is impossible," one senator cried. "Scrap cannot destroy a fleet." But the evidence was clear. Fragments of the destroyed patrol had been found. Black box records showed every detail. The humans had taken wreckage, metal no empire wanted, and forged it into a weapon that broke fleets. The speaker's voice shook with anger, but also with unease. "It is one ship, only one. We are thousands. We will crush them before they can rise," yet even he knew the truth. If humans could build one, they could build more. Meanwhile, on Earth, silence remained. The people did not celebrate. They did not announce their victory to the stars. Instead, they worked harder. Factories deep under mountains pounded with thunder. Oceans hid weapons no alien had ever seen. Colonies sent resources in secret convoys. The first warship was only a test. Humanity was building more. In the dark, another whisper began to spread. Not of weakness, not of surrender, but of defiance. "They smile because they know something," an alien general murmured. "They smile because they are ready." For the first time in countless years, the mighty council felt small. Their empires were ancient but predictable. Their fleets were powerful but built on tradition. Humanity was something else, chaotic, desperate, and creative. They turned broken pieces into fire. They turned silence into weapons. And now the galaxy trembled, because if one warship could be born from wreckage, what would come next? In secret meetings, human leaders watched the council's panic unfold. One of them, the same old general who had smiled first, finally spoke again. His voice was calm but carried iron. "Let them fear," he said. "We do not need to shout. We will show them who we are." The others nodded. And in that cold silence, in that simple promise, the fate of the galaxy shifted. The council had demanded surrender. Instead, humanity had shown its hidden power, and this was only the beginning. The cold smile, the council had demanded Earth's surrender. The council had sent fleets. The council had believed itself unshakable. But now, after the loss of a patrol armada to a single human warship, the council's chambers were no longer filled with arrogance. They were filled with fear and anger hiding beneath it. Delegates from across the galaxy shouted over one another. "Impossible. A single world cannot resist us. They use stolen technology. That ship is not theirs. If they can build one, they can build more. We must strike before it is too late." The Supreme Speaker's voice finally cut through the storm. His eyes glowed with rage as he slammed his staff against the floor. "Silence! Humanity is young, reckless, and desperate. But they cannot match the weight of the galaxy. We will remind them of their place, yet even he could feel it. The council chamber itself seemed colder, as if an invisible presence pressed against every wall. The whispers of fear were no longer distant. They had entered the very heart of power. For the first time in history, the humans were invited to the council chamber. Not as equals, not as friends, but as criminals called to face judgment. The council believed dragging them into the great hall would crush their spirit. But when the doors opened and the human envoys walked in, the galaxy froze. They were not many. Only a handful of men and women in plain uniforms, their steps steady, their faces calm. No fear, no trembling, no begging for mercy. Instead, they walked as if they belonged among giants, and then they smiled, not warm, not friendly, cold, a smile that was sharper than any blade. The speaker rose to his full height, towering above them. "Earth," he thundered, You stand accused of defiance. You were ordered to surrender. Instead, you build weapons. Instead, you kill Council fleets. Do you not understand the power you challenge? The chamber roared in support. Thousands of alien voices echoed, their fury shaking the walls. But through it all, the humans remained still. When the noise finally died, their leader stepped forward. His voice was quiet, almost gentle, yet every word cut through the silence. We understand your power. We have seen your fleets. We know your strength, but you made one mistake. He paused. The entire chamber leaned in. You thought humanity was broken. The words fell like thunder. An uneasy ripple moved through the council. Some hissed in anger, others fell silent. The humans' eyes scanned the room, calm and steady. Then came that smile again, cold, confident, merciless. You asked us to kneel, the envoy continued. But humanity does not kneel. You asked us to surrender. But humanity does not surrender. You showed us your chains. We forged them into weapons. Gasps echoed across the chamber. The speaker slammed his staff again. Enough, you will, but he stopped. Because the humans did not flinch at his anger. They smiled wider. That silence, that calmness was more terrifying than any shout. Reports of the destroyed patrol fleet were already spreading. Council admirals had seen the footage. A ship built from scrap tearing through their war machines. And now standing before them, the humans looked not like prey but predators. One alien delegate whispered the thought that many had tried to bury. What if they cannot be broken? The human envoy leaned closer, his voice a whisper yet somehow heard by all. You fear us because we build in silence. You fear us because we rise from ruin. But most of all, you fear us because we smile in the face of death. If one ship shakes you so deeply, he let the words linger. Then he gave the final cut. What will you do when you see the others? The chamber fell into chaos. Voices screamed, claws struck tables, wings beat against the air. But the humans did not move. They turned calm and silent and walked out of the council chamber as if nothing had happened. The council had shouted threats. Humanity had answered with a smile, and that smile was colder than war. On distant worlds, fear turned into prophecy. Traitors whispered that the humans had fleets hidden in the dark. Soldiers swore they heard laughter in the void. And even the strongest empires looked at their borders with unease. Because the truth was clear. The council had asked for surrender, and in return, humanity had promised war. Not with words. Not with rage, but with a cold smile that shook the stars. The shaking stars, the council chamber had fallen into chaos. The humans had walked out without fear, without surrender, without a single word of apology. All they left behind was silence. Silence and a cold smile that burned in the minds of every alien who saw it. But silence does not last forever. Soon, silence became fire. It began at the edge of council space. A fleet of warships, proud and ancient, moved to block the humans' rising power. Their admirals believed the humans had only one ship. They believed they would crush it with ease. Instead, when they arrived, they saw not one ship, but many. From hidden shipyards carved into moons, from orbital rings disguised as ruins, from the oceans of Earth itself, the humans had built warships in secret, each one scarred, patched, forged from wreckage and stolen technology. They did not look like the sleek ships of the Council. They looked like monsters, brutal, scarred, alive with defiance, and they were ready for war. The first battle was chaos. The Council's fleet opened fire with confidence, plasma and missiles tearing through the void. But the human warships answered with fury, weapons made from desperation, engines born of survival and tactics no alien could predict. Where the Council moved in perfect lines, the humans fought like storms, wild, fierce, unpredictable. They turned their own ships into weapons, ramming through enemy hulls, using debris as shields, firing weapons no one thought could work. When the smoke cleared, the Council fleet was gone. The humans still stood. The galaxy trembled. On every world, voices rose in fear. The humans cannot be stopped. They build ships from nothing. They laugh at death. And still, the humans did not boast. They did not shout their victories to the stars. They fought, they survived, and they kept smiling. That silence, that calm was worse than any threat. The Council tried again and again. Fleets were sent. Armies were deployed. But everywhere they struck, humanity pushed back. Colonies rose with hidden weapons. Civilian freighters became war machines overnight. Even planets thought defenseless erupted in fire, revealing secret fortresses beneath their soil. It was as if the entire human race had been waiting for this moment, waiting to prove the Council wrong. Within the Council itself, fear became open panic. Senators screamed for retreat. Admirals refused to launch without overwhelming numbers. Even spies refused missions near Earth, whispering that to enter human space was to invite death. One by one, the great empires that had mocked humanity began to fall silent. Some withdrew their fleets, others closed their borders, and some, trembling in secret, sent envoys to Earth, not with demands but with offers of peace. In the center of it all, the humans stood calm. Their leaders did not gloat. Their generals did not boast. They simply watched the galaxy unravel, and when they finally spoke, their words were as cold as their smiles. You thought humanity broken. You thought we would kneel. But we are the storm that rises from ruin. We are the fire that grows from ash, and we do not surrender. The stars shook with their defiance. Worlds that once laughed at Earth now whispered its name with fear. Empires that once ordered humanity to kneel now prayed to be spared its wrath. And in every corner of the galaxy, the legend of the cold smile spread like wildfire, because the Council had demanded surrender, and humanity had answered not with fear, not with mercy, but with war. In the silence that followed, the galaxy realized a truth it could not escape. If this was humanity broken, then what would they become when they finally rose to full strength? And with that question, the stars themselves trembled.